Hi everybody, welcome back. This is Mandy, and if you saw video number 215, we're going to do something similar but on a larger surface today. So I had a request for a 12, well, just a larger piece similar to what we did in that 7-inch in that video, and I wanted to try it on a 12-inch, so that was perfect because it challenged me to do that soon. So we've already layered down our house paint. We're using the Color Place Bright White and Satin from Walmart. And then this is a puddle of Carbon Black from Atelier Free Flow. And now we're going to use these 4 interference colors from the GlassWings set. So that first color is Rain, which is a black pearl with a green interference. And these colors are gorgeous. It's so hard to capture them on the camera. And then Aurora, which is a black pearl with a red, or almost like a peachy red interference. As you can see, I'm just kind of swirling them around because I do want them to interact with each other a little bit. I'm using a fairly large puddle because I do want this to be primarily kind of the pearly interference with the black. This is Luna. So this is a pearl black with a violet interference. And the sparkle in these is phenomenal. And then the last one will be Angel Wings, which is a black pearl with a blue interference. And the fun thing about interference colors is if you want to modify them, you could even add some couple drops of acrylic ink. Like if you wanted to make that Angel Wings have kind of a turquoise or a green shift, you could add a couple drops of, ink, acrylic ink, or even a transparent, couple drops of fluid transparent paint, and really even make that your own. So that's the fun thing about interference colors is you can mix them up together. You could combine the Angel Wings and the Rain, and then you would have kind of a blue-green. So there's a lot you can do to make these your own. I love working with interference colors, and I use them an awful lot. So if you follow our channel, you probably know that. So when these came out, when they had the smoky pearl base, they're super beautiful. So this is part of the GlassWings set. So if you haven't picked up that set yet, it's still available on the Colourarte website, and you can use my code to save 20% on anything on the website. There's also a brand new set called Ancient Treasures out, and it is gorgeous. I already have a swipe a couple videos back I did using some of those colors, and it already has 1 coat of resin on it, and it's super beautiful. So since we are doing a bigger surface here, I am using a kind of a larger black puddle because I want to give that cell activator room to kind of spread out. So my cell activator is going to be titanium white by Amsterdam. So that's 3 parts of that to 1 part Australian Floetrol. I will say my cell activator seemed a little thin. I think it's just because it's so hot here. I noticed that my Amsterdam cell activators seem a lot thinner than usual. So it seems strange to go any higher up on the paint ratio. But I definitely noticed that they're a lot thinner. So where you would sometimes get those really plump cells, you're getting more lacing, if that makes sense, because the viscosity of your cell activator definitely plays a part in how it interacts with your paint. So I'm going to blow it out that center a little bit myself, so pardon my head. That's probably about to get in your way after I pop these bubbles. That's just going to make it a little bit easier for the dryer to catch that puddle. So, and again, this is a big bloom for me, so I'm not expecting perfection because this is still a pretty large size for me. I tend to start off strong on the blowout. I don't know why, but I decided to be north, south, east, west, and then fill in the gaps in the middle. And that didn't work out the greatest. It still turns out to be really beautiful. But you can see what happens is by the time you come back to the middle to fill in those blanks, cells are already forming, so you're pushing out, cells and making them large, as opposed to maybe just kind of following the original trajectory. So some of that is stuff I'm still learning. I don't know why every once in a while I just like go rogue and do something different than what I normally do. And then I'm like, why did I do that? But I decided to go ahead and film this because even though it is similar colors, the outcome will be completely different. And plus, I think it's valuable for you to see the difference between doing something on a 7 or an 8-inch to doing something on a 12-inch. Because if you're learning and doing this technique yourself, you'll know that, going from 4 inches to 6 inches can be a big deal, from 6 to 8, 8 to 10, all that. So jumping up in size definitely makes a difference. But I am feeling very adult that I am finally seeing some decent results on a larger size. It makes me feel so grown up. And of course I'm kidding, right? But I do enjoy that. I feel like that also allows those pieces to be more intriguing. A small art is a lot of fun, and there's a lot of things you can do with small art. But it definitely kicks things up a notch when you're starting to make more sizable pieces that really can be a main attraction on a wall, or even on an easel. Something this size can still even go on an easel and be a beautiful piece on a shelf or on a table. But the 12-inch is the size that I think starts to be really nice to put up on the wall. So soon maybe we'll be going real big, but let's not rush that. Let's enjoy that we can finally do a 12-inch, And it doesn't mean they're always going to turn out either. So where I didn't have the perfect blowout, you can see I'm embellishing with the narrow side of that coffee stir stick just to give it some body. I have a lot of paint on here, so a lot of that is going to spin off. But what doesn't spin off, I want to have a little bit of interest, because there will be some not negative space in the sense that we'll see a lot of white paint, but there will be some negative space where you don't see the lacing. And we want that to have some interest. That one part that I'm messing with right now particularly didn't blow out the greatest, but I think just kind of connecting it to the other space that doesn't have a lot of lacing really made a difference. And I think this small detail is something that you really kind of have to practice and learn over time, because I am not the greatest at this. But I think when you're looking at it, you sort of begin to envision, okay, how's this going to blow out? What parts are going to look strange as they get bigger? And what parts are going to kind of resolve themselves? If they're going to look strange as they get bigger, you might want to create a little interest that will help with that. So here you can see, and this is not where we'll finish, but you can see even where we have some like bright white lacing where we don't have a lot of black. And honestly, I thought that was really cool, but we still had too much paint on the surface, so that was going to have to come off. Now I'm popping bubbles. I'm trying to fix any air bubbles that are creating weird cells, because I did mix up some of this paint right before I did this. And overall, this wasn't the greatest blowout on my part, but I still really like this piece. And I like the interest in it. I like the fact that it's not perfect, if that makes sense. I think sometimes that makes the art more interesting when it's not a perfectly round and symmetrical bloom. Sometimes I think that just makes it look more unique. Maybe that's just me making myself feel better, but I also like the blocks of color under resin. That will be amazing. Like you can see at least 3 or 4 places where we have blocks of that interference color that are somewhat absent of the black. And even though there is still black in the background, there's just huge chunks of that color. And I think that will look really cool under resin. So I love the contrast of the white cell activator. I love the iridescent look. you would be amazed at how much different this looks up close. I know the camera can only show you so much. It looks sort of pastel-y to you from your view. But once this dries, all of that looks like rich, beautiful, sparkling color. And under resin, it's just phenomenal. So I really think this turned out well. I love to do these beetle back pieces. Beetles back. You understand where the Beatles back term came from, right? It's those weird iridescent looking beetles that are, you know, like the Beatles themselves are super ugly, but their shell is super beautiful, multicolored, just kind of that beautiful iridescence we find in nature, you know? So let me know what you guys think. I'm excited to see this one resined. It's drying beautifully, so no issues with that. I am popping a few bubbles. And there's a couple places where, because I had just mixed up the pigments, they created these like little cells where bubbles were. So they looked strange. I went ahead and tried to kind of blend them. Usually if you mix up your pigments, in most cases, it's a good idea to like let them sit for a little while, a couple hours or so, let the bubbles come to the surface and pop. It just makes them a little easier to use. That's true of any pigment. Just because it helps them blend in with your medium, because a lot of air gets stirred in when you're mixing them in. So I really like this. I hope you guys like it. Curious what you think. We have a close-up coming up in just a little bit. But I was really glad that I was asked to do this on a larger piece, because it pushed me to do it maybe sooner, because it was going to go on my giant to-do list. And I was like, these are so beautiful. I like to do these a lot. I want to do a black vase with these colors. I think that would be really pretty. I would be tempted to add more colors on top, but I would love the simplicity of that. Maybe with some Milky Way. That might be fun. They're just so beautiful, you know? So now I'm just kind of making sure it looks like we have enough spun off and that we have all the bubbles popped. A couple weird white cells popped through, which were really strange. It made me think I had dripped paint on it. It's right there. I saw that and I was like, what happened here? But I think it was just cells popping through from the pillow paint. I don't know if I just spun too much, but I'm glad I noticed it, because at first I thought, did I drip white paint on here? What you guys can't see is the cells in that area. There's a very thin sheet of that white cell activator that kind of gently glides over those cells and creates the coolest 3D looking cells. You'll really be able to see them under resin. But that's another reason I didn't want to leave those white cells. All right, everybody. So here's our close-up. I really like the way this turned out. My cell activator is a little thin. And it could be that it reacted to the black being a little bit thinner. But I still like the way this turned out. If you look up close, look at all that sparkle. I'm trying to stand on my tippy toes. You can see that Luna right there mixing with Aurora, and here's some rain. And here's some more where they all kind of intermingle. You can see some angel wings there. I also like some of these color block places too, because I think they add some contrast. And I'm sorry about my sniffles, but just look at the sparkle on this. Under resin, this is going to look amazing. Look at angel wings up close. Look at that. So let me know what you guys think below. And hopefully this will be exactly what we have in mind for this piece. Otherwise you may see it again. You may see me practice with it some more. But I really love doing these beetle back type blooms. I did recently mix up some of the pigment, so I did have some bubbles. So I'm hoping that those don't continue. There's a couple little, but they're interference-y, so they're not like white measles. But anyway, I love this part where you can see the angel wings. Some of my favorite part is right here, right over here. I really like it. So yeah, let me know what you think. Again, this is a 12-incher, so this is big for me. I'm excited about that. So I'm celebrating all the small wins. Thank you so much for watching and all your support. Thank you guys.